How you doing, everyone? Welcome to Wrestling is Real to Us, Dammit, the podcast. Brand new podcast coming to you every single week, giving you detailed, comprehensive reports on all things wrestling. And boy, do we have a lot of things to talk about tonight. We're just two guys that know the biz. I'm your host, Charlie, wrestling guru and couch potato. Sitting beside me, my co-host, Josh, a.k.a. the Wrestling Encyclopedia. Now, you can join the show anytime by emailing your questions and comments to wrestlingsreal2us at gmail.com. Once again, that's wrestlingsreal2us at gmail.com. Send your questions and comment. Josh, first thing that we got to bring up before we get into this mess that is the tournament going on for the WWE Championship, we have to say a fond farewell to former AWA heavyweight champion, former WWF champion, Nick Bockwinkel, who passed away earlier this week.
Yeah, it was sad to see Nick Bockwinkel pass away at the age of 80, just shy of his 81st birthday.
He's one of the true wrestling legends.
Probably the most well-known AWA World Heavyweight Champion of all time.
Absolutely.
And I would venture to say definitely one of the top 5 wrestlers that I personally enjoyed watching. His promo ability was very amazing to sit and watch.
Yeah, he was great. He was great, especially when he was under the tutelage of Bobby the Brain Heenan. I actually watched Nick Bockwinkel versus Hulk Hogan the other night on some AWA Classics thing, and it was really, really good stuff. Nick Bockwinkel, you're going to be missed.
Yes, absolutely.
We also have to say goodbye to someone else. This is on kind of a different light. Billy Gunn has been fired from the WWE. Josh, what do you know about this story?
Well, apparently a few months ago when WWE did not know about this, Billy Gunn was suspended from a weightlifting competition because of the use of performance-enhancing drugs. And WWE apparently found out about this, and without even going through the, I guess you could say, the 3-strike policy that they have implemented in the wellness, they just blatantly outright let him go.
Well, who knows what strikes he may have had against him in the past.
Right.
Because you got to think, he's had a long career. He could have done something years ago and they gave him the boot. That could have been the 3rd strike.
I don't think it would have been. I don't think they would have went that far back. I think with the surgence of a lot of sports and wrestling not being the sports entertainment is what it is now. The use of performance-enhancing drugs is being, criticized throughout every sport, whether it be football, basketball, baseball. So I guess WWE is setting a standard now that they're not going to tolerate it just like any other sport would.
Well, I've got to say, first and foremost, Billy Gunn, you are an idiot. You've got a cake job. Your career is over. You're still employed by the WWE, and there's so many legends out there that would just die for that position, and you got to be a big idiot and take drugs, performance-enhancing drugs, and lose your spot. Drugs are bad. Okay. That's just dumb. Don't you agree?
I agree it's dumb, but at the same time, Billy Gunn just had this resurgence, I know, with Road Dogg Jesse James, with the whole DX reunion. Then they had that short stint as WWE Tag Team Champions.
Yep.
And now Billy Gunn, he really stepped away from it after the New Age Outlaws kind of went back to the wayside. And you had Billy Gunn helping the talent down in NXT. Was very instrumental with Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, who really they looked up to in terms of, they just won the NXT tag titles.
Yep.
I think...
Looking good, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Looking real good.
One of my... very reminiscent of the Anderson brothers.
Oh, yeah.
The look, the way they move in the ring, the way they coordinate, it is almost like watching the Minnesota Wrecking Crew all over again. And it's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. And the jackets.
Very nostalgic.
Have you ever seen how jackets get so much heat in this sport?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's absolutely hilarious, and it's crazy how much heat you can draw with a jacket. A well-placed jacket, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need to piss somebody off nowadays.
Now, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about with this cluster bomb of a tournament that the WWE is putting on right now. We can go ahead.
Somebody's mad.
I'm not very happy with the turnout. But I saw this coming a mile away, and I don't know. Josh, you've got the results for us from last week for SmackDown. What do we have?
I do. Let me pull up the results here. I've got, as it came to the WWE World Heavyweight Title Tournament, and what has to be the upset of this decade so far.
This just makes no sense to anyone.
Well, it makes sense to me because of the direction I think it's going to end up going. We had Kalisto defeat Ryback in the tournament to advance to face Alberto Del Rio.
I think that's the reason why Kalisto won. They're going to have when he goes up against Alberto Del Rio, it's going to be a lucha libre fest. And they're really going to do as many high spots as they possibly can. I can see that. But Kalisto was a tag team partner that was being, they did the promo on the Lucha Dragons right before Seth Rollins' injury. He's not a singles competitor. I don't know if he's actually ever had a singles match. Now that I think about it,
I believe he did down in NXT. He had a few singles matches. I know he had
NXT, but I'm talking on the main roster.
No, on the main roster, they had Sin Cara go down, and they developed that tag team, the Lucha Dragons, down in NXT. Numerous chances at the NXT tag titles,
right?
And I believe they also held it for a short time too.
Yeah, they did
before dropping it to the Ascension.
Correct.
So I think it's a good idea to a degree because now you're giving him some legitimacy as a singles competitor, and you're going to call it a lucha fest. I don't think as much as Del Rio's backstory comes from Mexico and his heritage, I don't see Del Rio in the WWE as a luchador. He is a very technical wrestler. I think it will be the slow pace of Del Rio, the slow technical pace of Del Rio versus the high speed, the high pace of Kalisto. I think it'll be a decent match.
It's going to be a great match, but the thing is, I think we're going to see both at top speed. We're going to see a bunch of shining wizard kicks. What do they call it?
Enziguris.
That's the name for it. They're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of flips. It's going to be, I still say it's going to be a lucha libre fest, but that's neither here nor there. I am really upset, and I've got to break off on a tangent just for a little bit. Really upset that Kalisto had a spot, that Titus O'Neil had a spot, that even Tyler Breeze, even though Tyler Breeze is a tremendous talent, not that they're all great talents, but they're not they haven't even been in the picture. When you've got people like Curtis Axel, you've got people like
Jack Swagger,
Damian Sandow, Heath Slater, people that legitimately...
God, not Slater.
Well, you know what I'm saying. They should have a chance. But they're going to go put tag team members in and not give them a chance. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
No, it doesn't make sense. But, I mean, if you look at the tournaments in history's past, whether it be King of the Ring, whether it be a tag team tournament, whether it be a singles tournament, whether it be something weird like the King of Trios tournament that Chikara does, you have every tournament, you have those couple of talents that you know are just placeholders. Yes, there's other talent out there, and maybe just because they're having to step back and redevelop their characters, you know, through house shows or, you know, different ways going back to NXT, I think that's what you're really seeing in this tournament with the likes of Titus O'Neil, with the likes of Kalisto and Tyler Breeze.
I think that they were just filling spots. The way that, I mean, because it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
No. I mean, I think that these were the people that were available, and they just threw them into this tournament, and this is what we've got so far. All right, second result, Josh.
The next result in the tournament, we had Neville. We called this one, both of us, Neville defeating Bad News Barrett.
Yep. As much as I really love Bad News Barrett, and it seems like the WWE has dropped the ball on that character altogether, Bad News Barrett was really getting over.
Yes.
With the whole Bad News Barrett character. Now they're going to pull out this King garbage that it never went anywhere from the beginning. You had King Harley Race, then you had King Haku.
King Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
You had Macho King. Enough with the Kings. It's been done to death. It means nothing anymore. Let Barrett go back to being Bad News Barrett. Let him come out on that podium and let him blast the crowd. Let him become a real heel all over again.
You bring up this point about the King of the Ring. Anybody who's been following the WWE Network, they have this Table of Three show now, where they have three of the superstars get together and they just basically talk about the real life stuff. It basically throws everything out there.
Right.
And one of the more recent ones was Sheamus, Bad News Barrett, and William Regal. And William Regal stops for a moment during the episode, and he goes, "Do you realize we're probably the three worst King of the Rings in WWE history?" And both, if I'm not mistaken, both Sheamus and Barrett said, "Well, it's kind of we were the ones that were thrown into these tournaments that doesn't even happen every year, so really doesn't have any legitimacy."
Neville shined. He put down Bad News Barrett, and we moved on. What do we got next, Josh?
The next one in the tournament, in the last of the first round, was Alberto Del Rio defeating Stardust, which we also called.
Of course. I mean, I as much as I would love for them to really develop the Stardust character, where he could just be super creepy, he could be. I mean, it's like they've got it's laid out for them. It's so, I think that character would be so easy to sell, but they're really jobbing out Stardust big time right now.
Well, and I agree. And then, after the match, over the weekend, I noticed on Stardust Twitter account, he posted out a kind of a tease. He said, "You want him back? Well, there's only really one person that can bring him back." And I really think, and people have been clamoring about it for years, a match probably at WrestleMania between Goldust and now Stardust, Cody Rhodes.
Well, they're definitely going to have to build these characters back up. Right now, if they did a Goldust versus Stardust, I think it would be a complete dud. They're really going to have to do some build back to, because Stardust has been on the bottom of the roster for so long that they're going to have to do some kind of storyline to even insert Goldust back into the picture.
No, and you remember Goldust has been out with an injury.
Right.
They had that kind of a tease leading up to Mania last year at Fastlane, and we thought we were going to get it last year. And I know, speaking through other interviews, or shoot interviews and such, that Dusty was really not wanting that to happen.
Right, absolutely.
And, now that, the American Dream, we lost him earlier this year, I really think that there is money in that feud, and maybe it would be a way to bring the Cody Rhodes character back. Maybe the Stardust character's run its course. I mean, we're looking at, almost 2 years now? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's run its course and the people aren't behind it. Yeah, it's a great merchandise seller. The gloves, the face paint. And I know a lot of the kids love it because it's that mysterious character.
Sure.
Same way that Goldust was when we were younger.
Right.
So I think there would be a draw with it. And I think done properly, and even given the feud between, starting it, even at the Rumble and setting it up for Mania, I think that it would be something the fans could get emotionally invested in. Just the way that Goldust can really draw somebody's emotion in.
We've got results from round 2 coming up on Wrestling's Real to Us, Dammit, the podcast, coming up right after this. Hang on. Skate Billies, Cookville's local skate shop, stocking the largest selection of skateboards and longboards in town, hooking you up with everyday low prices. Skate Billies sells your favorite brands of boards, trucks, wheels, grip tape, bearings, and hardware. Everything you need for beginners and advanced skaters. Skate Billies also has choice shirts, hats, and other merch that'll boost your swagger, and without a doubt, the hippest style of Vans and DC shoes available in Cookville. For the best deals on skateboards, longboards, shoes, and clothing, there's only one local outlet. It's Skate Billies. It's open Monday through Saturday from 12 noon until 7 p.m. Located in Cookville at 728 South Jefferson Avenue, next to Sonic and Walmart. Check out our website, skatebillies.com. Don't be lame, shop Skate Billies, Cookville's local skate shop. All right, we are back. We've got results for round 2 of the big cluster that is the WWE Heavyweight Championship title tournament. Listen, you can join us anytime with your questions and comments at Wrestling's Real, the number 2, us at gmail.com. Once again, that's Wrestling's Real, the number 2, us at gmail.com. Send your questions and comments. Round 1 of, the first match of round 2. Josh, what are we looking at?
The first match of the evening was Kevin Owens versus Neville this evening on Raw, and Kevin Owens was able to pick up the win and advance to the semifinals, which will take place at Survivor Series this Sunday.
And I really think that Kevin Owens, his character is developing so well. He really looked like a heel, something that we haven't seen very much in the last several years. We haven't had a defined heel, and I'm talking somebody that cheats, that is cocky, arrogant, will do anything that it takes to win. Once he does win, he'll just talk about how wonderful he is.
Rub it in your face.
That's Kevin Owens.
Yes.
So it was really good to see that character start to shine in this match with Neville. I think that Neville has got a lot of time to grow. I would like to see him in the Intercontinental title picture, maybe,
or the U.S. title.
6 months down the road. Same with the U.S. title. But I think that Kevin Owens, I don't think he's quite ready for the heavyweight picture yet, but he's closer than quite a few of the others that are in the tournament so far. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And like I said, I said it last week, Kevin Owens is not going to be the next Randy Orton. He's not going to be the next John Cena. He's going to be the next Kevin Owens. And we're starting to see that cocky, that arrogant, that in-your-face just wants to make you bite his nose off heel that is really missing from the roster right now, especially with so many people on the sidelines.
Have you noticed how much the commentators are calling him the prize fighter? Have you noticed that? They've called him the prize fighter probably 20 times in the last couple of broadcasts. I don't really understand that, the prize fighter. I guess they don't want to call him the Brooklyn Brawler, but the prize fighter, that's a completely different sport. I know that's a small detail.
They're running out of copyrights.
There you go. Kevin Owens advances in the tournament. He will be facing off against the winner of this match right here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Dean Ambrose defeating Dolph Ziggler in what was probably right now the match that the crowd has been into the most in this Raw broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't foresee the end result of Reigns squaring off against Dean Ambrose, this could leave a big question mark out there because it was a really equal match.
Yes.
Both guys really performed well. The crowd seemed to be into it 150%, and it shows that Dolph Ziggler, and this is my opinion, he deserves to be in that main event in the heavyweight title contention.
Yes.
I remember when he won the heavyweight title by cashing in the briefcase against Del Rio a couple years ago.
Right.
And the crowd went crazy.
Yes.
And he sold it so well. I think that he could do that again. I don't understand why he's been stuck in limbo for so long. I think that Ziggler has got the makings of Shawn Michaels.
Absolutely. You can see a lot of Shawn Michaels in him.
Absolutely. I see the makings of Ric Flair in Dolph Ziggler.
A little bit.
There's a lot of past stars in Dolph Ziggler. I hate that he went out the way he did, but I still think that hopefully creative will get their head out of their bottom and realize where the real talent is lying and get him back into the title picture.
I really think that Ziggler's main albatross that's keeping him off that world title right now is the fact that the last time they put the world title on him, like you said, after he cashed in Money in the Bank against Del Rio, it was not very long after that he suffered a concussion and they had to take the belt off of him.
No.
Did he not?
No, he got the concussion after that. The plans were written on the wall when he won that championship. He didn't have it very long.
It's about a month.
Right. He got the concussion after
Okay, well, I think and
they didn't give him a chance for that one.
Well, and maybe so, but I also think that Ziggler wrestles.
Oh, they're definitely gun shy.
Oh yeah, they're
definitely
gun shy. He wrestles very similar to the way Daniel Bryan wrestles, to a very similar way that Cesaro and that group, basically that generation of wrestlers right now all wrestle that hard hitting, everything is laid in, mentality. And to a degree, and we saw it with Daniel Bryan, the hard bumps on the concrete, on the ring apron, they take their toll. And all it takes is one slip up and your career is over. We saw that with Edge. How many more years did Edge have on him had he not had that serious neck injury, which, he had already had the neck surgery prior to having to retire after beating Del Rio at WrestleMania 27. Do you really want... I understand where they're coming from, not putting the title on Ziggler. We saw that now. I mean, we saw that with the fact that Seth Rollins is injured. Seth Rollins wrestles that very similar style that all those guys do, and it just so happens that Rollins ends up injured. So maybe they're getting to a point where they're going to start getting trigger shy on these guys, and we're going to have a big problem because now your generation of your John Cena's and your Randy Ortons are starting to have to be pushed away. What are you going to do when your new up-and-comers keep getting hurt?
Yeah, it seems like we're seeing more and more injuries than we ever have happen within this last 5 years in the WWE. All right, moving on to the next bout. This one, I've got to admit, is making me sick to my stomach.
I can see it in your eyes.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming, but I just had this glimmer of a hope, just this little bit that maybe Creative gets it for once. They hear the crowd reaction, although it was kind of 50-50
It was 50-50, which kind of really surprised me.
50-50, we got Roman Reigns versus Cesaro.
Yes.
And we saw Roman Reigns go over Cesaro like we knew it would, but it seemed like Cesaro carried him the entire match. It looked like he was blown out after 4 minutes of the match, in my opinion. What do you think?
I saw a little bit of that too, but I also know Cesaro's, his cardiovascular condition is amazing.
Yeah,
I've seen matches where he can wrestle 60 minutes and wrestle the pace that he does on live TV.
He's so good.
I think
good.
Even though the crowd was 50-50, even though half that crowd was really cheering on Reigns, the other half was booing so loud that you could see the crowd cheering for Reigns, but you couldn't hear them.
And that takes you back. Was that really what the crowd response was? We ask you if you have the answer to that. Make sure that you email us the answer to that at wrestlingsreal2us@gmail.com. We want to know what the crowd really sounded like tonight, because it seemed like when Reigns would do something and the boos came out, the boos were loud.
Yes, very loud.
Very loud. And we saw a lot of Cesaro's section, those little cards that they've been hanging out, along with some posters out in the crowd. People were standing behind, and dig this, I don't know if you even know about this, on WWE.com they did a poll, who do you want to see as the next heavyweight champion?
Well, I know who my vote would be for.
Exactly. Well, who's your vote for?
Who would my vote be for?
Mm-hmm.
Dean Ambrose.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I agree with that one, too. But Cesaro is leading the pack. He got 39% of the vote, while Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns are tied with 19%.
Wow.
39. That's on a poll like that.
That's still not a majority.
No, it's not a majority, but it's a sizable difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're 20% difference.
If it were a presidential election, you'd see who would win right now.
Right. And now maybe, if nothing else, maybe WWE Creative, which I seriously doubt it, but I maybe they're seeing finally what they have in their hands right now.
Right.
They've got a guy that is just a freak of nature when it comes to size.
We mean that in the most respectable way.
Absolutely. The guy is a machine. He's a cyborg. I think that if he ripped some of his skin off, you would see
Terminator.
gears and yeah, exactly. But Cesaro put on a good match. It seemed to me that he carried Reigns most of the way. But I did notice something in this match. It looked like Reigns was acting a little bit cocky.
Well, yes.
And unlike the Reigns that we know, it seemed like they might have been planting the seeds of a heel turn, because he was kind of like, what, me? Gonna be taking on this guy in underoos? I'm too cool for this.
Oh, you saw, I could have told you the seeds were planted last week when Triple H put the title on his shoulder and said, all you got to do is say the words, and you're the man.
Maybe. I hope that
Triple
they go
H
that way.
And, after Reigns, declines the offer from Triple H, and he says, I'll take the criticism, even as harsh as it is. Triple H comes back, well, criticism comes with the business, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. If you can't take criticism in professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, is what makes you better if you use it to your advantage. Mm-hmm. If you just sit back and say, well, they just don't know what they're doing or they're talking about, that's not how you get better in this business. You take criticism, you learn from it. If you're not constantly learning in professional wrestling, sports entertainment, then you need to get out. Because you should go into whether you're working in front of 50 people, whether you're working in front of 50,000 people, you should learn something, or you should be able to take something back and make yourself better and make the other person you're in the ring with better every night you're out there.
Well, I haven't heard that Roman Reigns has turned off any kind of advice coming from the elders, if you will. But I have heard that in my personal opinion, I haven't seen him improve. I've seen him tread in the same spot for a long time. Now, if he becomes a heel, are we going to see an improvement on his in his promos? Probably. I think it's probably a little bit easier to cut a heel promo as it is a babyface promo.
I think a lot of it is if they would, and maybe it may be written promos, they need to let him be himself.
I agree.
We didn't hear a lot of talking when he was in the Shield. Rollins did a lot of the talking. Ambrose did a lot of the talking. And when the Shield broke up, when they formulated, I said, well, when the Shield breaks up, I said, Dean Ambrose is going to be the star of this. Because at the time, I thought Dean Ambrose was the best speaker out of the group and still had amazing ability in the ring. Come to find out, Rollins is the one that, once they break up, Rollins gets the Money in the Bank briefcase, gets the big WrestleMania moment, stealing it from Roman Reigns, and in the process becomes what I thought was a really good heel world heavyweight champion for the company.
Yeah, I no matter what ends up in the rest of this tournament, I really foreseeing the end result being Ambrose versus Reigns. No matter which way you look at it. All right, as you know, we do our recording, or maybe you don't know, we do our recording on Monday night as Raw is happening. We get all the results as they come in, and of course the last match in the tournament before we get to the semifinals is Kalisto versus Del Rio. That just in, Del Rio wins.
Yes.
Gee, I never figured that was going to happen.
Again, we predicted this one from round one after the round one bracket was, finished up. I think that it's going to be interesting to see Roman Reigns versus Del Rio on the first semifinal match, and then the second semifinal match you have Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose, which for me is probably going to be match of the night in Survivor Series.
Yeah.
As for Del Rio and Reigns, I think it'll be a great match, and maybe this was a way to kind of keep the babyface edge on Reigns leading into the finals, because you have somebody who is starting to garner a lot of heat again in Del Rio. And I think it's a good way that it's going to give him that you have that heel babyface moment in both of the semifinal matches leading to what we think is going to happen with Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose.
Well, there you have it. That is the tournament so far. The semifinals going into the Survivor Series. You've got Roman Reigns versus Alberto Del Rio and Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose. We're going to find out who the heavyweight champion is coming on Sunday night. And we'll have all of those results for you on Monday's show, so do not miss out on that. We got more results from Raw coming up right after this. Hang on. Skate Billies, Cookville's local skate shop, stocking the largest selection of skateboards and longboards in town, hooking you up with everyday low prices. Skate Billies sells your favorite brands of boards, trucks, wheels, grip tape, bearings, and hardware. Everything you need for beginners and advanced skaters. Skate Billies also has choice shirts, hats, and other merch that'll boost your swagger, and without a doubt, the hippest style of Vans and DC shoes available in Cookville. For the best deals on skateboards, longboards, shoes, and clothing, there's only one local outlet. It's Skate Billies. It's open Monday through Saturday from 12 noon until 7 p.m. It's located in Cookville at 728 South Jefferson Avenue, next to Sonic and Walmart. Check out our website, skatebillies.com. Don't be lame. Shop Skate Billies, Cookville's local skate shop. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with Wrestling's Real to Us, Dammit, the podcast. Remember, you can join us anytime by sending us an email, a question, or comment. Wrestling's Real, the number 2, us at gmail.com. Tell them what it is, Josh.
Oh, the start of the show opened up with the Brothers of Destruction coming out in their first Raw appearance to open the show for a while.
With the Druid people came out.
We thought it was Undertaker's Druids. Come to find out comes the Wyatt family, and Bray showing his power over the supernatural that he so acquired from Kane and the Undertaker, turned the Druids against the Brothers of Destruction, and that didn't turn out so well for the Druids.
No, it seemed like the Brothers of Destruction cleaned house pretty good. I remember that they brought the lights up, and they were wearing the sheep mask, and I was just like, oh boy, here we go. I'm really let down by this angle already, because we were talking about it being a Survivor Series team match, and now it's just going to be a tag team match. That's such a bummer. Yeah,
the only surprise out of this one is who's going to be the two that end up facing Kane and The Undertaker at Survivor Series. And there is a very missed opportunity here with a really good match setup of a team versus team for Survivor Series. Mm-hmm. As of right now, we don't even have a Survivor Series match.
No, it's, what they're labeling it as anyway is the Brothers of Destruction versus 2 members of the Wyatt family. I'm hoping that this is just a swerve. I'm hoping that the night of the Survivor Series, they actually form a team. That hopefully it's not too late for that. Do you think that there's any kind of possibility for that?
I would near zero.
Really?
Because with this being the last Raw before Survivor Series, you have SmackDown, and that's it.
Yeah, but can you see a Survivor Series without a Survivor Series style match? I mean, that's just, there's nothing.
Last week we had on both Raw and SmackDown, we had Survivor Series style matches. If there is going to be one at Survivor Series, it's going to be a throw together of everybody that is lost in the world title tournament so far. I think that's what's going to end up happening. It happens every year. There's always that throw together one, and that's what we're going to get.
I think there's been too much buildup from the folks out there. Surely creative isn't this stupid. I think that we're going to get to the night of Survivor Series, and something new is going to happen. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. And I know I've hoped many times for things like Cesaro to go over Reigns, and it didn't happen. But,
nope.
I'm hoping that surely they're going to listen to the fans, the Brothers of Destruction, and someone versus all 4 members of the Wyatt family. I don't know.
I don't see it happening. If they do, it does nothing to draw more people to watch.
Well, honestly, the whole spot, the opening segment with the Druids turning into the Wyatt family members or whatever, it didn't go anywhere. How many weeks in a row are the Brothers of Destruction going to get the upper hand on the Wyatt family? It's just like the feud's already over. It's just not going anywhere. It's just lame to me right now.
I think that really depending on who faces Kane and The Undertaker at Survivor Series is really going to set if and how this feud is going to continue.
Yeah. Lots of other things happening on Raw. Of course, we had a debut, actually. I know he had his debut in the World Heavyweight Title Tournament,
yes.
But now his first singles match, Tyler Breeze going up against R-Truth. To me, this was a lay-down match. I knew that Tyler Breeze was just going to annihilate him, but I will say I'm very happy with this rugged side of Tyler Breeze, this rough side.
Right.
He seems to be more aggressive in the main roster, and I like that. I like to see that.
I think it's really going to I think it really helps develop his character because he's playing the pretty boy, the one that doesn't like to get down and dirty, and he's showing that he can, and that's really going to be something that Breeze can use to his advantage further on down the road. And it's going to take some time. I think putting him with Summer Rae, the entrance, the selfie stick, everything is really playing out well for Breeze, and I think he'll have a good career with WWE.
The only thing that I really hate about this is carbon copy of Fandango. When he first came, Summer Rae was there by his side, and it looked like Fandango was going places. Boy, I hope they don't do the same thing to Tyler Breeze that they did to Fandango.
I mean, look, you had Fandango beat Chris Jericho in his first match and at WrestleMania.
Yep, but then things started going downhill quickly.
Well, and I think a lot of that probably had to do with the fan reaction. Mm-hmm. The fact that they basically just turned him babyface just from his theme music.
Right. Yep.
And what does WWE to counter that? They change his theme music.
Well, speaking of more baby faces that are supposed to be heels, the New Day versus the Usos and Ryback. Oh, boy.
If everybody was watching Raw as we were, they would know that this is the 1-year anniversary of the formation of the New Day.
Yeah, I really didn't. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that the New Day had been around.
It's amazing how fast a year has went by.
Yeah.
Don't be sour.
It was really interesting that the crowd were literally cheering for the New Day, and the Usos just came back. So what are they going to do there?
Well, and look, we had Ryback lose to Kalisto. We're in the same boat as we were last week when we had Neville team up with the Usos. Now, all of a sudden, Ryback's teaming up with the Usos. Is it going to be a revolving door of partners for the Usos and 6-man tag? Is WWE plotting to have a 6-man tag team title?
No.
No, we know that ain't going to happen.
I think this was just a way to put Ryback in the picture.
They need to take him back out of the picture.
Yeah. Well,
the picture's a lot cleaner looking without him.
It's amazing. I like the New Day the way they are.
Yes.
I really do. But they need to go a little more heelish. But it's hard to be heels when the entire crowd is chanting New Day rocks. The New Day can pretend like they're chanting New Day sucks, but everybody was behind them.
Do you honestly know what makes the best heel? A babyface that has sympathy, and that's the problem. Is they don't have a tag team that has any sympathy.
No, because all the crowd is behind the New Day.
Well, and at that point, you have to realize what you're doing and go with it. And we've discussed this before. WWE doesn't do that on all the occasions, and they again, this has a lot to do with how their writing is done. The fact that it's written in advance, months, even to a year in advance. And they're going to try to see out as far as they can through the writing so that it really doesn't mess up anything in the future that's already set. Mm-hmm. There could be something in the future of New Day turning babyface, and I'm sure it's coming. In order to keep the character, in order to keep that group fresh and keep it interesting, you're going to have them turn babyface at some point.
Well, I think that this is a perfect opportunity to put that on the shelf for the meantime. I think that they need to focus on the Usos versus either the Ascension or the Dudley Boys. Because you got to have a heel opponent, and that's the only 2 tag teams that there are. And right now, the New Day are just kind of out of the picture because the Usos are not... It seems like they're just not building up to the popularity of the New Day. So you don't want to put the Usos against the New Day right now because you want the fans to cheer for the baby faces, and that's not going to happen with the New Day's popularity. So you need to put the Usos against some kind of major heel, and the only way I can see that is for the Dudleys to go back to the psychotic Dudleys that we knew so many years ago that power bombed Mae Young through a table
off the stage.
Absolutely. If you go back to that, then you can build up the sympathy for the Usos, and then the stage would be a little bit more even between the New Day and the Usos. I think that's the only way to go.
And, we talked about there's only really 3 tag teams in that upper tag team title picture.
Right.
I want to bring up a point. Where are Los Matadores?
Well, I think that they're just on the sidelines at the moment. I'm hoping that they make a return because if they're going to really concentrate on this tag team division, they need all tag teams in the picture. But right now, you've got, 4 or 5 babyface tag teams. Yeah. You got Los Matadores. You've got the Primetime Players. You've got the Usos. You got the Lucha Dragons.
And now you got the Dudleys and you have the New Day.
Yeah, so it's who's the heels?
Right.
The Ascension, the worst tag team in the... it's really not an equal playing field right now.
No.
They need to build some heel characters. Don't make the Los Matadores heels. That's not where it needs to go. Turn the Dudleys heel. They know how to do it. Use the Dudleys, use Ascension, and maybe one of the other teams, not the Primetime Players. Well, that's all that's left.
Right.
That's all that's left.
I mean, the only true heel tag team in the tag team division right now is the Ascension, and they're not getting the kind of heat you want for tag team champions. They're getting the kind of heat that ends up putting you on the future endeavored list, as Johnny Laurinaitis would say.
Well, and we saw that later on, and this was kind of a dud when...
nice pun there.
Yeah. The Ascension versus the Dudley Boys came out later on in the show, and it really didn't go anywhere, and it was over as soon as it started.
It was over when it was written.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't even need to start it.
You can't build up a heel tag team if they're getting squashed every single week. And that's the way it is with the Ascension. Maybe I remember them being a pretty dominant force when they were in NXT. Now that they're on the main roster, they haven't really done that much.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact is they have their promos are almost the same every week. They use the same catchphrase to end every promo. They have to remind the fans of what their names are, Connor and Victor. And I think the crowd really does not care about him because basically they see the face paint, they see the shoulder pads, and they're saying, you are not the Road Warriors. And they're not.
But that's the thing. You've got a new generation of fans that aren't. There's a lot of them that don't even know who the Road Warriors are. So this is an opportunity for them to build new talent. And this has been the problem with the WWE for a while. Build new talent. Build new talent. And hopefully we get to see the Ascension. And maybe that's why they had them in the ring with the Dudleys tonight, so they could learn a little bit more. I don't know. But the tag team division definitely needs some heel faces.
Yeah, you're going to give the Ascension the La Resistance treatment, putting them with the Dudleys?
Yeah.
We saw how well that worked out for Sylvain Grenier. And
definitely.
That didn't
go anywhere.
No, it didn't.
Speaking of things that really didn't go anywhere, the main event segment of Monday Night Raw.
Well, we thought it wasn't going anywhere, and then a little bit of silence and bringing up of some personal information. It kind of made it interesting.
It was very interesting, but it was kind of awkward at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, I finally had some kind of emotional attachment to Charlotte because those were real tears that she was crying.
Yes.
And it was a real story, a real life story about her brother dying. Mm-hmm. And but that's Vince McMahon style right there, bringing out personal experiences and bring them out to the main stage. And it seemed like the lacking part, Charlotte, to me tonight, was the strong side,
right,
where Paige kind of dropped the ball. It seemed like she waited a little bit too long on the attack when Charlotte was talking about her brother passing away.
Yes.
That was a perfect opportunity for Paige to go, who cares about your brother and a sob story of him passing away? That's when it should have happened. You said it during the actual broadcast.
I did, yes.
She should have attacked her right then.
Right, and you have this whole split up, and we talked about it last week about the new kayfabe. The fans don't want to be lied to. They see everything on the internet, and they don't want to be lied to. They don't want their intelligence insulted. As some people would say, wrestling fans don't have intelligence.
Right.
That's not always true.
Right.
I think that this was a great segment. I think it did go on way too long. Mm-hmm. I think it should have been as soon as we saw the tears kind of flowing, and then Charlotte brings up her late brother. Mm-hmm. And right then, don't give her enough time to go with the whole sob story. Don't give her the time. Have Paige interrupt her immediately, cut her off saying, look, everybody knows your brother's dead. That has nothing to do with me trying to get the title off you.
Right.
And then have Charlotte snap.
But this was something that the WWE has been missing for long. Character development.
Emotional
attachment.
Yes.
Character development. Why should we care about Charlotte? Here's why. Daddy wasn't there. Brother died.
Yes. Other brother didn't really do much in wrestling.
Right. But I still made it to be the Divas champion. Look at what I've accomplished, no matter what happened to me in the past. And I really was like, you go, Charlotte.
Right.
Now, the follow-up, the attack and everything, that was kind of weak, I think.
It went on way too long.
Yeah.
And this is how every contract signing on live television ends up.
Oh, absolutely.
It's gotten to a point, well, this one was a little bit different because they did bring a real-life incident into the equation. But again, I think it went on way too long. There was too much of a break between Charlotte bringing the tears to the forefront of the real emotion that you were really starting to feel, and between that moment and when Paige mentions it and gets the heat. There was too much time there. There was too much dead silence. And that's something you really can't waste on live television.
No, absolutely
especially the last segment of the night, which, by this time Raw has gone on for 3 hours. Yeah, a few people have kind of lost interest, and maybe this was their first attempt to really give the Divas that limelight of the last segment of the show.
And I'm glad that they did that.
Yes.
And I think that this was a good... I don't think that it was terrible.
It was not.
In no way. I think that we really, like I said, we got to see emotion coming from Charlotte. She was finally... why should we care about Charlotte? This is why. So I think that was a great starting point for that, for a brand new... we've heard about the Diva Revolution for a long time now, but it's gone nowhere. I think this was a good stepping stone.
This was absolutely a great idea. I don't know, I'd say a lot of it has to do with Stephanie McMahon, because I know she's been pushing for the Divas to really get a lot more exposure, the whole Give Divas a Chance movement, and I think this was a great way, but I just think the only problem with it, I think the emotion was there. I think the heat was eventually there. It just got drawn out way too long.
Overall, I think that this was a pretty good Raw. I'm going to give it a C+. What do you think, John?
You're giving it a C+ just because Cesaro's name starts with a C.
Yeah, and Daddy lost.
Overall, predictability, although most of the matches were really good and really entertaining, I'm going to give it a little bit higher. I'm going to give it a B-.
That sounds good. Now, we didn't forget about the opening of WWE Raw, and we're actually going to close the show with some thoughts. And we haven't forgot about the tragic events that took place in Paris, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those that were affected by those senseless acts of violence.
Yes.
It's
got to end soon. The world can't take this much anger and frustration between people anymore.
If I live to be 1,000 years old, I will never understand I will never understand how these things could happen. But our thoughts and our prayer go out to everyone affected in the recent events there in Paris. Paris, we love you. We got to remind everybody that the show is brought to you by our friends at Skate Billies. Listen, if you're into skateboarding or if you know people that are into skateboarding, let them know about Skate Billies, located right here in the heart of Cookeville. They've got everything that you can think of, from decks to trucks to wheels, bearings, DC shoes, van shoes, a little bit of everything. If you are a skateboarding enthusiast, you need to check out Skate Billies, located right next to Sonic on Jefferson. All right, that wraps us up for another week. Josh, you got anything?
The email bag. I got an email here from Chris out of North Carolina.
Oh.
The 25th anniversary of The Undertaker. Give me your most memorable Undertaker match or segment.
Most memorable. Actually, my most memorable was the whole angle with CM Punk, the death of Paul Bearer, and how vicious that CM Punk got with the urn. It seemed like the Undertaker character really just we saw a completely different side then. That was my favorite Undertaker moment. And I know that was later on in his career,
right?
But that was my favorite. Yours?
Well, I did not get to see a lot of The Undertaker's early career in terms of his WWE reign. We'll just kind of stick to that. But as I grew up and going back, I really enjoyed the period between 1997 and 1998 when we saw the transition from the Mortician, the Western dead man, into what eventually became what he is really called as the Lord of Darkness and the Phenom. Most memorable, you have to look at what do most people remember about The Undertaker. Not for me, the Hell in a Cell match with Mick Foley, one of his career highlights.
Duh.
You have to look at that. In terms of my favorite, probably his entire feud with Shawn Michaels. I know there was a lot of backstage politics played at the time, and we saw a lot of good matches in 1997 between the two, and we saw two absolutely amazing WrestleMania matches in 25 and 26. And I think the Undertaker feud with Shawn Michaels probably, or even Stone Cold Steve Austin, because that was an amazing feud as well. I would say the Undertaker-Shawn Michaels feud for me has been the highlight of the Undertaker's career.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of Wrestling's Real to Us in the bag. Remember, you can send all of your email questions and comments to Wrestling's Real, the number 2, us, at gmail.com. Make sure that you join us next Monday night. We're going to have the results from Survivor Series plus the results for Monday Night Raw. That's coming next Monday night. Till next time, spread the word to all your friends. Wrestling's real to us, damn it. Till next time, so long, everybody.